Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us today in the study of Srimadbhagavatam. Today we'll be covering Srimadbhagavatam 10th Canto, chapter 74. The Deliverance of Śiśupāla. Let's get started with Jayarada Mother prayers. Please join us. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. us with the recitation of Srimadbhagavatam 10th Canto, chapter 74. Today we will be covering Deliverance of Śiśupāla. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Now let's do the remaining Mangacharan prayers together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udilye shrotam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtanaha hridayantastohya bhadrani vidunoti suhasatam nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati Ruttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhakti Nashtiki. Hare Krishna. Please join us for the recitation of the first few verses. Srimadbhagavatam 10th Canto, chapter 74, the Deliverance of Śiśupāla, verse 1. Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shukuvacha.
Evam Yudhishthiro Raja.
Evam Yudhishthiro Raja.
Jarasandha Vadam Vibho.
Jarasandha Vadam Vibho.
Krishnasya Chanubhavam Tam.
Krishnasya Chanubhavam Tam.
Shutva Pritastam Abravit.
Shutva Pritastam Bravit.
Please.
Shri Shukuvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Evam Yudhishthiro Raja.
Evam Yudhishthiro Raja.
Jarasandha Vadam Vibho.
Jarasandha Vadam Vibho.
Krishnasya Chanubhavam Tam.
Krishnasya Chanubhavam Tam.
Shrutva Pritastam Bravit.
Shutva Pritastam Abravit. Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shukuvacha.
Shri Shukdev Goswami said,
Shri Shukdev Goswami said,
Evam,
Evam,
thus,
Yudhishthira,
Yudhishthir, Raja,
Raja,
the king, Jarasandha Vadham, the killing of Jarasandh, Vibho, of the Almighty, Krishnasya, Lord Krishna, Cha, and Anubhavam, the display of power, Tam, that, Shutva, hearing of, Pritaha, pleased, Tam, him, Abravit, he addressed. Hare Krishna. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Shukdev Goswami said, having thus heard of the killing of Jarasandha and also of Almighty Krishna's wonderful power, King Yudhishthir addressed the Lord as follows with great pleasure. There is no purpose, so we'll cover the next verse. King Yudhishthir said, all the exalted spiritual masters of three worlds, together with the inhabitants and rulers of various planets, carry on their heads your command, which is rarely obtained. Purport. Srila Prabhupada renders Maharaj Yudhishthir's statements as follows. My dear Krishna, O eternal form of bliss and knowledge, all the exalted directors of the affairs of this material world, including Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and King Indra, are always anxious to receive and carry out orders from you, and whenever they are fortunate enough to receive such orders, they immediately take them and keep them in their hearts. Hare Krishna. So let's do obeisances to the spiritual masters. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. And further I pay obeisances to my Diksha Guru, my spiritual master, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, and also to my Shiksha Gurus, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, His Holiness Ramapad Maharaj, and His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Let's chant the Hari Nam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So let's recap what has happened till now. Yes. So today we are studying Srimadbhagavatam 10th Canto, chapter 74, the Deliverance of Śiśupāla. And one of the very important aspects that we'll be covering today is this chapter has many lessons and there are 5 main conversations, in addition to the 2 conversations that we are already aware of. So 5 main conversations with a lot of teaching and various, aspects that we can practice in our life and purify our life are there. So how we can overcome anarthas of criticism, anarthas of envy, anarthas that cause impediments in our path of practicing devotional service. And also related big dangers in the path of bhakti that these impediments cause, and what are the other factors that can also destroy this bhakti lata, which is in this soft heart of a devotee, and could cause even offenses so grievous as Vaishnava prats, right? Offenses towards the lotus feet of a devotee by blaspheming them and so forth. And what to talk about, blaspheming or criticizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. And how to deal with criticism. We also learn how to deal with criticism, and by removing the anarthas, when we hear this chapter, the envy, anarthas of criticism, when we remove them, then we can awaken the dormant love of Krishna in our fragile, helpless condition in this world. So this world is dukkhalayama shashvatam. It's a place of misery and it's temporary in nature, and how we can, in this particular state, while residing in this world, we can transcend the very effects of this Kali age. And, though the condition in this material world appears to be fragile, it appears to be helpless, but how we can become carefree of these conditions by taking shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. And through these pastimes, we are talking about the deliverance of Śiśupāla, we learn how we can overcome some of these anarthas and continue to make spiritual progress. Hare Krishna. So, Shukdev Goswami is speaking Srimadbhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, who is fasting for 7 days. We know that. And later on, Sutta Goswami, who was in this assembly, he heard Shukdev Goswami speaking Srimadbhagavatam, and there were many great sages like Gautam Rishi, Atri Muni, Parasa Muni, Vyasdev himself, Vashishta, Vishwamitra, and so many others. They were there in this assembly at the bank of Ganges, where Parikshit Maharaj was fasting for 7 days until death. And Shukdev Goswami is speaking Srimadbhagavatam to him. Later on, Sutta Goswami, who was in this assembly, goes to Naimisharanya, and he is speaking the whole Srimadbhagavatam again. Just having heard once, he was able to speak it, because that was the intelligence in the previous 3 yugas. That just by hearing one Shrutva, just by That's why the scripture is also known as Shruti. Just by hearing, people could recite. There's Shruti and then Smriti. Smriti is collection of various, scriptures, where it is referred to as remembrance. By constantly remembering and meditating on those, one can attain perfection. So Shruti is where, having heard it once, Sutta Goswami is repeating at Naimisharanya in the assembly of great sages. And their spokesperson is Shaunaka Rishi. Now this chapter starts where, and I would also like to, as per Mahabharata, as what has been given by Dwayapanya Vyasadeva as well as Jaimini Rishi, they have both written Mahabharata commentaries. And Harivamsha is appendix to Mahabharata by Vyasadeva, as well as Brihad Bhagavatamrita is the appendix to Jaimini Rishi's Mahabharata scripture commentary. So, in this particular case, there are some things that seem to be, to set the order right. In the previous chapter, we heard as how Jarasandha, that Yudhishthira Maharaj sent his brothers, and then having heard that Jarasandha has denied, Arjun, Bhim and Lord Krishna went to Magad and they were able to kill Jarasandha. And then later on they delivered the 20,800 kings and princes who were imprisoned by Jarasandha. So that's what we covered in the previous 2-3 chapters. Here it's continuing from that point onward, but let's set the the sequence of events correctly. What happened was Lord Krishna came, and here that Yudhishthira Maharaj wants to perform Rājasūya yajna, and he came with all his queens and important counselors and advisors. So Uddhav is also there, Satyaki is also there, Yudhan, he is the general of the Yadava armies. And here Lord Krishna revealed, and of course Yudhishthira Maharaj first revealed why he wants to perform Rājasūya yajna, to glorify Lord Krishna, to tell the world that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that happens in the very first worship. So that's his way, because in this particular yajna, all great personalities would come, even demigods. Lord Brahma would be there, Lord Indra would be there, Mahadev, Lord Shiva would be there, and so forth. And even the great kings and queens and the great personalities from various planets would be there, from Siddha Lokas, Gandharva Lokas, and so forth. So he wants to glorify Lord. That is clear. Lord said. However, this is very clearly identified that Jarasandha would be an impediment. And at that time, Lord Krishna reveals Uddhava's advice to Yudhishthira Maharaj that Bhim has to approach Jarasandha in the form of a Brahman, dressed as a Brahman. So Arjun, Krishna and Bhim, they dress as Brahman, they go to Jarasandha. At that auspicious hour, when Jarasandha invites guests in his palace, and he gives charity to the Brahmanas. So they ask in charity, what do they ask? A duel, to fight. And Jarasandha says, Krishna, I will not fight with you because you ran away in the middle of a battle. And you abandoned your capital city, Mathura. And then Arjun is too young. So he agrees to fight with Bhim. He says, Bhim is my equal. Gives a club to Bhim and he takes one club and they both go. They fight. And by Lord Krishna's tactics, as Lord Krishna and Arjun Bhim reveal afterward to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So this is where Yudhishthira Maharaj is hearing all this, what happened in Magad, and how they were able to kill King Jarasandha. And afterward, how 20,800 kings were delivered by Lord Shri Krishna. And when he hears how these kings were delivered, that's touching to his heart, because he is saying, Lord Krishna is so magnanimous, he is so merciful. All he wants is our happiness. All he wants is for us to attain peace, to get rid of these material pangs, this anxiety that's coming up because of lamentation and creating so many aspirations. Because when we are in the material life, we are always keeping a goal, and the goal is always moving. We can see it in the nature of a child. Like a child cries heavily for a toy. And the moment you give the kid a toy, that toy he was crying for, plays for a little time, and then afterwards he ignores that toy, and now he's hankering for another toy, right? And then you get him that toy, then he plays for a little time, and then leaves it and hankering for another toy. That is the life. This material life is like that. If you are engaging in, material aspirations, you set a goal, I have to become this. When we were kids, parents were busy, how do we get them admission in a right school? Okay, got an admission in right school. Now he has to top in his class. Okay, he topped in his class. Now he has to top in the next class. So continuously, the aspiration is that we become intelligent. As soon as, on our street, uncle's son, so-and-so uncle's son has become an engineer. So you also have to become an engineer and doctor. So before you know, you are already in this rat race. You're pushed into this rat race. Now they have become so you have to become so. Our family has this tradition. Everyone becomes an engineer. So you have to become an engineer. Before you know it, everything is already decided for you. And as soon as you come out, you get into an engineering college. Okay, now you have to do very nicely, get a nice, discipline. Become a computer engineer, electronics engineer. So that race is also there. After you come out of your engineering college, now you have to, get a good job. So now you're in that particular race. You get a good job, now you have to get a good wife and a good kids. And, now you are in this race to make sure that the kids are growing. Constant race is going on. I mean, even after you get a job, now you have to get this promotion. You are chasing. It's like, carrot is in front of you. It's like, and you're constantly chasing, but you can never catch it. Where is the end? And before you know, the life has ended. You have retired, now you don't have any more strength, and you wonder, looking back, what was I doing? I was only checking these milestones in my journey. I have to make this milestone, then this is the next milestone, it will come in 2 days. Now this is the next milestone, and chasing. Where did you live? You're constantly chasing something that you could not even, make certain. While devotional service is so easy. All you need to do is chant the holy name, and Srila Prabhupada said it's a perfect recreation program. When you engage in devotional service, you read these epic stories in Srimadbhagavatam. And they are very purifying, they are very enlivening, they really rejuvenate us, they make us filled with ecstasy, and they set us in a very happy mood, understanding that Lord Krishna is so merciful and He is so benevolent towards His devotees. As a well-wisher, He is always seeking us to be happy and seek peace. And then when we cook, we make bhoga, we make an offering to the deities, then we, even accepting the remnants of the food stuff, which is called prasad, mercy, it purifies us. And then when we chant, we get to dance also. So perfect recreation program. I mean, at home, you can constantly engage yourself. Even with COVID-19, actually people are making more spiritual advancement during this time than they were doing before. Because we get more time to read the scriptures, more time not have to travel to work, 1 hour of travel one way, another hour, coming back home. And after that, you're already tired working at, work, having so much interaction with people. Over here, you don't have to have so much interaction. You are managing things just with emails and IMs and so forth. So wonderful from some aspects. From spiritual aspect, it's wonderful. From material aspects, those material packs are coming in. People are feeling that they are in the middle of Atlantic Ocean and the waves are hitting them left and right. Yet the devotees, they are very happy that they are constantly engaging in devotional service. So here Yudhishthira Maharaj, when he hears this wonderful pastime of Jarasan Vad and how the kings were delivered, he starts glorifying Lord Krishna. He's saying that, Lord Krishna, you are so wonderful that actually we sometimes think, so he's pointing to himself, that we are the rulers, we are the kings, and we become puffed up. And so we are supposed to be punished for becoming puffed up, becoming proud of our position. So position consciousness, Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying. He is such a wonderful soul. He is a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. He doesn't even want to perform Rājasūya yajna for himself. He wants to perform it because Devashi Narad said that there will be you will be killing 2 birds with a stone. What? First is that your father, King Pandu, would be able to transfer from assembly of Yamraj to the assembly of Indradev, demigod. So he would have a better situation because, in hellish condition, Yamraj assembly, it is not very nice, let's just say, simply stated. So he would go to Indra's assembly where everyone is enjoying somras, and somras is a beverage, very tasty beverage that is life-giving. It's not intoxicating. So that's another aspect that is clear in this particular chapter. Sometimes people say it's intoxicating. No, it's not intoxicating, it's life-giving. The soma plant is where it comes from. And then the second is you get to glorify Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but in the assembly of all the demigods, all the residents of, prominent residents of different planets, Siddhaloka, Gandharvaloka, Apsaraloka, everywhere people are coming, and you would be able to glorify Lord Krishna. So this is a wonderful opportunity. So he wants to perform it to glorify Lord Krishna. That is the mood of a devotee. A devotee wants to glorify Lord, and Lord's mood is reciprocating. He wants to glorify his devotee. So that's why even though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he declared that yes, in every town and village my name will be chanted, that particular part was carried out by Srila Prabhupada. So he is the empowered living entity who carried it out as a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, Shri Radha Krishna. He carried it out. And that's why we sing his glory is that he spread Gaurvani in the Paschatya, in the Western world. He spread Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name, fame and glories. So, and that is the essence, that a devotee glorifies Lord and Lord becomes happy and all other devotees become happy and Lord glorifies the devotee as how Srila Prabhupada is glorified all around the world. So that makes Lord happy when we glorify his pure devotees. And here Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying that actually we feel puffed up as kings and we should be punished for that. However, it is amazing that you are so wonderful, Lord Krishna. You are so wonderful. He is glorifying Lord in front of all his brothers in the assembly, that you are so wonderful that you carry out our orders. So this is where Srila Prabhupada reveals that Lord is, conquered by the love of his devotee. So when a devotee is so much in love with Lord, he is so much respecting and serving Lord, Lord wants to do something in return. Normally in the beginning stage what happens is when we go to the temple, right? When we were kids, we went to the temple, the parents said bow down here, we bow down here. Pay obeisances here, fold your hands here, we folded our hands. We just carried out, completely in ignorance, just carrying out the order of our parents. Very little intelligence at that stage. And sometimes our parents are role model, right? So the moment we see them bowing down, we bow down, right? And we also see the other kids doing the same thing. And it is very encouraging because they are getting this training early on. Training is also important, education is also important. But sometimes training precedes education for a purpose. Because once somebody becomes knowledgeable, then that love factor comes in. Not just I'm doing it because my father did it, but now I know why he is doing it, so I do it even more nicely, so he feels the pleasure that I'm doing it knowingly, not unknowingly. So training is, you can train a lion, to jump through a hoop of fire. So that's training. But educating is having the knowledge, building up your realization to really have this expression in your action. So your actions are more, genuine in their very essence. So here, Yudhishthira Maharaj is glorifying Lord Shri Krishna. So again, I was talking about the different stages as how we go. So then we come to know that, the deities, they are Lord Krishna himself. So wow, and they can grant all kind of wishes because he is Sarvalok Maheshwaram. He is the supreme proprietor of all material and spiritual universes. So then we start asking, right? So we start asking, give me a nice, get me pass me through the exam, get me the good position, and then so forth. And requests they keep just accumulating. Give me a nice house, and give me a nice wife, give me wonderful kids, give me nice promotions, and on and on and on. Yet at the same time, little more knowledge increases, and we get to realize, what we were doing was really a big mistake. Instead of asking, we should be giving. He is not our order supplier, we are his order supplier. So he orders us and we supply to him. So then we take to devotional service. And we simply starts Agya Sukriti. Some devotee asks us to do something, and that's how it started. It starts. Like when I was a kid, just for 1 rupee, my grandpa used to say, I'll give you 1 rupee if you read this book. And I used to look at this book. It's a very thin, small book. That was whole Bhagavad Gita, 743 verses. And he would make me read from start to end. And I was good with speaking, at that time, very good with my pronunciation. So I would read it from start to end and I'll get that rupee. So I was doing it for rupee, but Agya Sukriti was happening. Because it was not the rupee that I was more attached to. He was looking at my purification. He was not looking that I'll give him a rupee so he'll read it to me because I can't read. He could read it very easily. But he wanted to engage me in devotional service. Agya Sukriti happened. For 2 months in the summer vacations, he would make me read every day. And I was looking at 200 rupees I would make. So that was Agya Sukriti, completely, distracted towards, karmi mindset. I was in that. But unknowingly, I was performing devotional service. And that is very beneficial because as I grew up, I started realizing that actually he was purifying me with a little, something that I wanted. So this is another characteristic of devotee I learned. The devotees, they give you, they show that they are giving you what you want. And you feel that you are getting what you want. But actually, in the side, as a side effect, they are giving you what they want. Right? That's what Lord Krishna is, always saying that, a devotee who preaches my name is very dear to me. So to preach Lord's name, devotees are doing other things which are very attractive to the materialist. Srila Prabhupada said, we don't really need a temple. We can do devotional service sitting under a tree. But it is for others to come to the temple so that they can get purified. Big temples are built. That is the mood. That is the mood of a devotee. So we learn from acharyas how to attract people who are pious. They have good heart and they want to advance, but they don't know it yet. So how to attract them to come? That's why Srila Prabhupada started this feast program, love feast he called it, right? That everybody comes and everybody shares and everybody enjoys the prasadam, and there is no remuneration. Nobody has to pay any fee or anything. But unknowingly, even by coming thinking that, okay, on Sunday I don't have to cook, when they come to the temple, participate in love feast, they get prasadam, it is to purify the senses. So again, because it has been offered to the lordships. And that's how, unknowingly, Agya Sukriti happens and the senses get purified. So then we start engaging in devotional service and advance further. We get through initiation and so forth. The progression starts. Adha Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya Anartha Nivrati Sthyat and so forth, Nishtha Sakti and so forth. We progress. Now here, Yudhishthira Maharaj is glorifying Lord Krishna that you are so wonderful that while we should be punished, but you are carrying out our services. And even Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the king of demigods, King Indra, they are just waiting to get your orders. And when you give them anything, any instruction, they carry it out. Carry that in their heart. Not just they carry it in their heart and not do anything. They actually carry it out with their full heart. That's what it means. That then carrying your orders out with their full heart, with their full ability, and just to glorify you, just to please you, they are doing this. And yet at the same time, you are carrying out our requests, like how to kill Jarasandha. And it was after this that, Jarasandha was killed, Yudhishthira Maharaj sends his brothers. And what happens is, Lord Krishna, he returns. After staying for a few months, he returns back to Dwarka. That's not given because, Shukdev Goswami is covering in commentary, right? But elaborate story is that Lord Krishna, along with his wives, after having met Subhadra and after having Abhimanyu, he takes his sister Subhadra and Abhimanyu with him and he returns to Dwarka. And that's where Abhimanyu has to, gets a lot of his, love from his maternal uncle, Lord Krishna, Lord Vasudeva. And here, Yudhishthira Maharaj sends his brothers in all 4 directions. He is sending Sahadev to south with Madras, the soldiers of Madras, the armies. And then he has sent Nakul to west. So Nakul goes to west, and the funny thing is, like, he goes to Anarthas region and then to Dwarka, and Lord Krishna gives him lot of jewels and as taxes, accepting Yudhishthira Maharaj as the emperor. So it is very interesting as how Nakul is going and he goes to Dwarka and Lord Krishna gives him a lot of offerings for Yudhishthira Maharaj. Arjun is going to north, and Arjun keeps going to north till a point that he comes to a region where people cannot be seen, right? And they're big giants, they approach him. And then they say, you cannot even see us. How can you fight with us? You will be destroyed. But he says, but I have to have this for my brother. So this is further north, where there were very yogic personalities were living. The kingdom was being ruled by such personalities. And then they say, okay, what do you want? They knew that he's a devotee. So when he said that you should, take the sovereignty of Yudhishthira Maharaj and give taxes, they're actually bringing amazing clothes, and jewels and so forth in his offering. He was amazed to look at this treasure that he gets. And he brings all of that back. Bhim goes to the east and he goes and meets Angaraj. So Karna refuses at that time. And at that time there is a duel between Bhim and Karna. However, Bhim has two advantages. First advantage is Mahadanav has given him a club which has the strength of 100,000 clubs. Second advantage is Lord Krishna imparted him some of his potency, his strength, that is still with Bhima. So as soon as the two clubs clash, as soon as they clash, Karna's club is immediately destroyed in the first stroke itself. And he's shocked, he's surprised. But now since he's without the club, Bhima drops his club and there is a fight happening. And Bhim has the power from Lord Krishna, the strength from Lord Krishna. So in one move itself, he flattens Karna. And Karna is shocked. He had never seen someone so powerful. So he understands that Bhima is in a, like we say sometimes, the sportsman is in a form. So he's in a form. So, and so he surrenders at that time and gives great amount of wealth to Bhima. And Bhima invites him to the Rājasūya sacrifice to please come. So this is how Bhim is going to the east, winning over. He goes even to, again, Magad Desh, and Sahadev, son of Jarasandha. His another name is Jayatsena. Bhim meets him, and Jayatsena immediately accepts and gives him a lot of, as taxes, a lot of jewelry and so forth. And Bhim, after having covered, brings all this treasury and all this wealth to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Arjun is bringing, Nakul is bringing. Now one hero is not so, his glories are, amazing, but he is not glorified as such. The youngest of the Pandavas, Sahadev. So Sahadev is the twin brother of Nakul. He goes to the south. So we covered Divida gorilla. He was killed by Balramji earlier. However, that happened much later. Here, as he goes south, he is able to have Rukmi, agree. He is able to have Manda and Dvivida. They were the rulers at Kishkinda. Previously, this was the kingdom ruled by Sugriv. He was the king of Vanasena, Kishkinda, and he helped Lord Ramchandra go to Lanka and retrieve Sita Mata. And so both Dvida and Manda, they accept his sovereignty. Then he goes to Mahishmatipuri, and Mahishmatipuri was actually protected by fire god, because fire god was in love with the king's daughter, the princess. So he had given this boon to the king that anytime anyone attacks, he would help. So when he sees Sahadev and Sahadev's soldiers, he would literally just burn the whole army. But when he sees Sahadev, so at that time, he tells to Sahadev that, this, if you try to attack, then it will completely destroy. So let me find a solution. And he goes to the king and advises the king to just accept the sovereignty, accept that Yudhishthira Maharaj is the emperor, and take some gifts. So instead of calling it taxes, ask him to bring some gifts, but the king is actually giving taxes. So it's a very interesting how that incident occurs, and how Sahadev is able to even get, past that big hurdle. And then he goes all the way to the south to Sri Lanka and the descendants of Vibhishan, they give him a lot of wealth and so forth. And Sahadev brings all this. There is another quality in Sahadev. He has one quality that Duryodhana recognizes, but Pandavas, they thinking he's the youngest, they shush him off at times. And one of the qualities, he's a great astrologer. But another quality he has, which actually Lord Krishna told him not to reveal to anyone. And that quality is that he can see the future. Not just as he's a great astrologer, he can see the future as it is. And since Lord Krishna tells him that he was never going to reveal this quality, and even if somebody comes and asks him a question on astrology, he would be very limited to the response to that question, not go beyond it. So Duryodhana happens to know that Sahadev has this quality. He's a great astrologer. And astrology is a science, if done properly as a science, not as speculation. It should not be speculation. It's a perfect mathematical, and astrology is a science. So if it's done correctly. However, the Pandavas, the irony is the Pandavas don't recognize that quality in Sahadev. But Duryodhana, his favorite is Sahadev among the Pandavas, because he knows that Sahadev is a great astrologer. And before starting the battle at Kurukshetra, Duryodhana takes some advice. So that is another story that we can cover some other time. But it's amazing. And Sahadev also has very nice, interesting characteristics. He's an expert with sword, and he's also, said to be, even though he's a twin of Nakul, his characteristic, the way he presents himself is more charismatic. So at that time, even though Lord Krishna, he's all attractive, right? But after Lord Krishna and Uddhava, Sahadev was considered the most handsome of all the kings and princes. And he had two wives. One was Draupadi, of course, who was wife of all the Pandavas, and the other was Vijaya. And he had a son, Suhotra. So after Kurukshetra war was over, he became the king of Madras, as it said, the southern area. And Suhotra became his descendant, king after him. So that's a little bit about Sahadev. So he goes and he wins all this and brings all this. And then they're waiting for the right time, which is like sending out invitations to the great sages, to the demigods and all over the place. So now the brothers are going out, with various messengers have been sent out to carry the message. And even Devashi Narad, he provides his services to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So again, Dasanudas Bhav is visible. Devashi Narad, he is the spiritual master of Vyasdev, who happens to be grandfather of the Pandavas, the seminal grandfather, right? From him came Pandu, Dhritarashtra and Vidur. And then from Pandu came the Pandavas. Even he, who's the spiritual master of the grandsire, he is engaging, he's serving the Pandavas, because he is actually, by serving Pandavas, he's pleasing Lord Krishna, right? And so he goes to different planetary systems and he's inviting Lord Brahma. When a son says, Father, you have to come, how can father refuse, right? So Lord Brahma comes to this Rājasūya, and everyone's waiting for the right time for this Rājasūya sacrifice to occur. It's described, and that happens in spring. So Srila Sridhar Swami reveals that it was in spring, when all this winning of the kings and all that had happened by fall, and now the invitations are going out. And before the spring comes, the Rājasūya time comes, again Lord Krishna takes this big caravan with all his 16,108 wives, his counselors and so forth. Satyaki is coming, Uddhav is coming, everyone is coming with Lord Krishna. Again, wonderful journey, right? So it is very important that the journey not just be made up of milestones, but what's happening. It should be pleasure-filled journey, right? That's why Bhakti Yoga is said to be the easiest of all the process. Why? Tesham aham samuddhata mrityu sansara sagarat bhavami na chirat pata maya aveshita chesam. Lord Krishna says that for the devotee, I deliver them from this cycle of birth and death, the ocean of birth and death, right? Mrityu sansara sagarat. So it's a mrityu lok that we live in. Constantly in the cycle of birth, death, old age, disease, we are facing these miseries. He is a quick deliverer. So just by having wonderful association of devotees by chanting of the holy name Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and constantly meditating on Lord's name, form, activities, pastimes. We, in a joyful mode, we are performing this, right? Susukham. This is done in a happy, jubilant mood. We are all feeling very nice as we are on this particular journey. And so the journey passes so nicely and quickly Lord delivers us. Now think of if you have taken across the ocean, a cruise ship, everyone is having fun. Everyone is having Sankirtan, congregational chanting is going on. While think of the Jnanis who are trying to merge into Brahman, and then they run through a risk of falling down again. And think of the, Ashtanga yogis, Dhyan Yoga, who are following. They are practicing that we will swim through this ocean by detaching ourselves from all this, sense objects. Well, that is so difficult if you try to swim through an ocean. Simply take a ticket, get on, engage in devotional service, have a pleasurable journey on a cruise, and Lord will pick you up. So easy, devotional service. I don't understand why people don't take it. It is easy and it is the best, because even the other yoga systems depend on Bhakti Yoga to deliver. So why are you trying to come to Bhakti Yoga when it is so easy to come to? So this is again, Lord is giving so many wonderful examples that Yudhishthira Maharaj, just by performing his prescribed duties, dovetailing everything in service of Lord Krishna. Even Rājasūya sacrifice, Yajna he is performing, this king of sacrifice he is performing is to please Lord Krishna. So that is the mood of a devotee. So this is again, we are on the first conversation. And Yudhishthira Maharaj talks about that, Lord, you are just like sun. Even though with the rising and setting of the sun, we feel the temperature difference, but the temperature of the sun is same. So similarly, Lord, you are like sun means, again, there are 108 analogies just from this. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hai Andhakara Jahan Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikara. So someday we will cover in another class what are these 108 analogies are about just this particular aspect, that Lord Krishna is like sun and Maya is like darkness. So where there is sun, there cannot be darkness. So here he is giving the example that when the sun rises, right, it's a little chill, it's a little cold, but then as the sun rises, it starts to get warmer and warmer and warmer. And as the sun is setting, it starts to become cool again, and cooler. And what happens is, as the sun has set, the temperature starts dropping. Does that mean that, sun's temperature is dropping? No. Sun still has the same temperature. It still has the same heat, same light. It is us, our perception, what we feel, that changes. So that's why when we come close to Krishna, we get the qualities of Krishna. They wash onto us. And similarly, if we go far away from Krishna, so that's like, darkness. The darkness, because the heat and light, they're not inseparable from Lord Krishna, from sun. So similarly, Lord Krishna's potencies are inseparable from him. That's another aspect. Yudhishthira Maharaj says that you are not different from your internal potencies. So again, a Shaktiman and Shakti. Shakti is potency, Shaktiman is the energetic. So energy cannot be different from the energetic, because if you take away energy, then he is not energetic anymore. So Lord Krishna has internal potency, so they are not different from each other. That's why it is said that we have the same quality as Lord Krishna, while we are his marginal energy. Jivera Swarupoya, Krishnera Nityadas, Krishnera Tathashte Shakti Bedha Ved Prakash. So we are the marginal energy of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna has three types of energies: internal potency, Radharani; external potency, Mahamaya, right, material energy; and then the living entity, Tatashta, the marginal, that is between the two. So we have to take shelter either of the internal potency of Lord Krishna or the external potency of Lord Krishna. If we are intelligent, we take shelter of internal potency of Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani, our mother. So in this mood, as Yudhishthira Maharaj is glorifying Lord Krishna is happy, right? And he is sanctioning and everything is going on. And now Rājasūya sacrifice time has come. So this is where the second important conversation happens. So now in Rājasūya sacrifice, Yudhishthira Maharaj is very careful, and all these demigods and all the kings from all around the world and from different planets are coming. And Yudhishthira Maharaj is called great sages and great priests from all over the universe, even from the heavenly planets they have come. So those names are given in Srimadbhagavatam, that even Kashyapa Muni, his husband of Aditi and Diti, father of Adityas and Daityas, he has come. Atri Muni has come. Even Shukracharya is present. Gautam Rishi has come. And, Dvapanya Vyasadev is there. And so many others. And further, in addition to all these sages, Vasishtha Muni is there, Vishwamitra is there, and so many more. And again, the names are given here, that all the rishis who were invited by King Yudhishthira. And King Yudhishthira also in his glorification, he is identifying that the mood of I and mine is not there in case of devotees. How can it be there in case of Lord Krishna? So again, dualities are in the case of conditioned souls. Pure devotees of Lord and Lord, there is no tinge of I and my, that this is mine, this is yours. They are constantly understanding that everything belongs to Lord Krishna. Now it has to put with the right perspective. So there is another incident I would like to narrate later on. So here, as all these great sages have come, and they are, being requested by Yudhishthira Maharaj to perform. Now there are various services being assigned to different personalities. Now also Yudhishthira Maharaj has invited other personalities like Bhishma Pitamaha, Grandsire Bhishma. He has invited Dronacharya, who is his teacher as well. He has invited Kripacharya, who is the spiritual master of the Kurus. He has also invited Dhritarashtra. He has also invited the sons of Dhritarashtra, headed by Duryodhan, and so many other great personalities from all over the world. So again, all these personalities have been invited. Even Śiśupāla is there and other personalities. Dantavakra doesn't come to this particular event. Vidurji, he comes. So again, two different commentaries. So there are some differences at times. So sometimes we hear that Karna was made responsible to give charity to the Brahmanas, while it was Vidurji in Vyasadev's commentary, that was, Mahatma Vidur. He is referred to as Mahatma Vidur, who was responsible to give charity out. Duryodhan was, accepting the gifts that the various kings were bringing in, and he was keeping proper record, making sure that everything is properly recorded, kept in the treasury. And he was getting shocked. He was getting shocked. So Duryodhan is, he was also called Suyodhan. So he would create quarrel. He was always look for some kalaha. That was his characteristic. And he was getting so disturbed, seeing that so much wealth is coming. These kings, they give the taxes to the Pandavas, but 3-4 times more than that they're bringing as gifts. He could not understand. And these kings becoming proud, thinking that since Yudhishthira Maharaj wants to perform Rājasūya, we will contribute, so this should be, to help him. So in their pride, these kings were giving more than normal. So they were giving gifts, and this was disturbing to Duryodhana, very disturbing to Duryodhana. And what kind of service Lord Krishna took? He actually asked Yudhishthira Maharaj for a specific service, that he would wash the feet of all the great sages, all the Brahmanas who are coming for this. And in this particular ceremony, the Vaishyas, the Shudras, even the Shudras, Vaishyas and other, personalities, they are invited. So it's a very nice way this assembly hall is filled. And with a golden plow, the Brahmanas, the priests, and these priests are highly exalted priests, right? Means we are talking about the priests who perform the big fire sacrifices in the heavenly planets. So these priests are also there. And they, with a golden plow, they start the sacrifice, they inaugurate the land and set up the sacrificial arena, and making sure that Yudhishthira Maharaj is identified as the Yajman. He is the one who's performing. On his behalf, they will be chanting the mantras and doing this. And Yudhishthira Maharaj is requesting them to please do it very nicely without any fault. He wants it to be successful. So here, one of the main event identified is Somaras. So somaras has to be produced and has to be distributed to the demigods and the guests, prominent guests who have come. So to get the somaras from som plant, the mantras have to be chanted perfectly. So the main priest who is chanting the mantras, the main Brahman who is chanting the mantras, there is also another Brahman acting as a referee. So as soon as, if there is a single mistake by this Brahman, the other Brahman will correct it. So there is no mistake in chanting of the mantras, because it has to be with the right meter, with the right, form and timings and everything. So all that has to be taken care of. And when it has been done, Srila Prabhupada writes in Krishna book that in current times there are no brahmanas who can do that. Just to create fire from earning mantras, it's not possible. So that's why all these fire sacrifices, they are not recommended for this current age. And Lord Krishna actually tells about a sacrifice which is the top of all sacrifices. So fire sacrifice is a kind of sacrifice. So of all different type of sacrifices, the topmost sacrifice is Nama Japo Asmi, he says, chanting of my holy name. And that is so easy to do. All we have to do is raise our hand and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So for this current age, what is the sacrifice recommended? Congregational chanting. Kirtaniya Sada Hari, and this is recommended for this Kali age. So all we are doing, again, what is Hari Kirtan? Reading Srimadbhagavatam is also Hari Kirtan. Chanting of holy name is Hari Kirtan. Reading Bhagavad Gita, that is also Hari Kirtan. So again, when we are reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, having conversation with devotees, hearing them, read and give discourses, that is also Hari Kirtan. Hari Kirtan is glorification of Lord. Yet at the same time, holy name is recommended because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this reference from Brihad Naradiya Purana. Hare Nam, eva kevalam, kala nashteva gatiranyatha. So in this age of Kali, the only solution is chanting of the holy name, chanting of the holy name, chanting of the holy name. There is no other remedy, no other remedy, no other remedy. So why? Because 3 times it has been repeated because of stress. He's stressing, So in Brihad Naradiya Purana, this has been stressed when Lord Brahma is revealing it to Narad Muni. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sets this as an example for the current age as well. Now, as the mantras being done, somras, the first activity is Agra Puja. Agra Puja is, Agram is first, Puja means worship. So who's the personality who will be worshipped in this case? So as the conversation is going on, Yudhishthira Maharaj knows who was recommended to him. But he is also looking at the congregation which is gathered, and some people are saying Lord Brahma is there. He is the first living entity. He is most worshipable. Another one is saying that Lord Mahadev is there. He is Mahadev, Lord Shiva. He should be worshipped. He has come here with his followers from Das and others. So, and some are saying Bhishma Pitama is the grandsire, he should be worshipped. Others are saying Atri Muni is here. Even though Prajapati is a great saint, some are saying Kashyapa Muni is here, he should be worshipped. And so forth. So there is no solution coming. And at this time, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami in their commentary, they are revealing very nicely that they were great personalities, very prominent personalities. They were not saying anything. Because they were thinking, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, King Indra, they were thinking, well, if they don't know who should be worshipped, they could have very well said, Lord Krishna is there, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he should be worshipped. But they were saying, well, no one is asking our opinion, why should we share? And they knew that Sahadev knows who should be worshipped. So if he doesn't speak, then we will speak. And now Sahadev was under this prompting that unless somebody asks him, he is not going to ask. So here, Yudhishthira Maharaj turns to Sahadev and he says, what should we do? That is the prompt that Sahadev says, because Yudhishthira Maharaj knew that we have to worship Lord Krishna. So he is telling Sahadev, we want to worship Lord Shri Krishna, what should we do? Now Sahadev comes and he speaks. And he tells that actually we have Lord Shri Krishna present amidst us. He is among us and He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no difference between his soul and his body. All good qualities we see in all these personalities that we are discussing actually originate from him. He is sitting in everyone's heart as super soul. So if we worship him, that is like watering the plant. So when we water the plant, then all the twigs, all the leaves, all the branches of the tree are nicely, getting nourishment. Similarly, all living entities will be satisfied if we worship Lord Shri Krishna. So he is glorifying Lord Shri Krishna. He is saying that he doesn't have any enemy, he doesn't have any friend. Because Lord Krishna reveals in Bhagavad Gita, na me dveshte na priya. No one is dear to me, no one is my enemy. So Lord Krishna is revealing that in Bhagavad Gita. So he is glorifying Lord Shri Krishna, that he is present here, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is full in all six opulences. So Parashamuni is also there, father of Vyasadeva. Right? So he is revealing that the definition Parashamuni gave. Aishwarya samagrasya viryasya yasha shriya gyan vairagayoscheva sannam bhagaiti gana. So he is Bhagwan. Parashamuni gives this definition, that one who is full in all six opulences. So what are the six opulences? Aishwarya, one who is who is very opulent, Aishwarya, who is very wealthy and so forth. Samagrasya is full, 100%, has complete in it. Viryasya, who is the most strongest. So Lord Krishna is the strongest of all. Yasha, who is famous, whose glories are everywhere. So Lord Krishna's glory is not just in the material universe, but in all material universes and all spiritual universes. Shriya, who is very, she refers to goddess of fortune, right? So she is serving him. So he is fully potent, goddess of fortune. He is the husband of goddess of fortune. Jnana, he is the most knowledgeable, right? Sarvasya chaham hridisannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarvairaham eva vedyo vedant kridved videva chaham. Lord Krishna reveals in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna that I am residing in every living entity's heart. Sarvasya chaham hridisannivishto. I am residing in every living entity's heart. Matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. From me comes smriti, remembrance. Jnanam, knowledge. Apohanam, even forgetfulness. Vedescha sarve rahameva vedyo vedant kridved videv chaham. Vedas are the means by which I am to be understood, and I am the knower of the Vedas, right? Because he gives that potency to Vyasadeva. He is a Shakta Vishata, Krishna Dvaipanya Vyasadeva, grandsire of the Pandavas. So here he is glorifying that, and he is most renounced at the same time. So he is full with all six opulences, complete with them. So he is as per Parashamuni, who is sitting there. And all these sages are also gathered when Parikshit Maharaj is, hearing Srimadbhagavatam from Shukdev Goswami. So at the bank of the Ganges, all these sages are there. And they are remembering this wonderful pastime when Lord Krishna was there and he was identified. So as Lord Krishna is identified at this time by Sahadev, there was a personality. So again, this is the second conversation, Sahadev is speaking. Third is Śiśupāla, but he is also the fifth one. So again, the two conversations are done by Śiśupāla. As soon as Lord Krishna is brought up to the throne and he is being seated, and Yudhishthira Maharaj started worship, because everybody started saying, excellent, excellent, Jai, this is an excellent suggestion to Sahadev. And everyone is agreeing. And even Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, they're going down there saying, yes, this is wonderful. They are happy that finally Sahadev spoke, because that's what they were waiting. If he wouldn't speak, then they would speak. Finally Sahadev spoke, so they are glorifying, and Lord Krishna is being worshipped. And as Yudhishthira Maharaj starts to worship Lord Shri Krishna, because of love, the tears are flowing of happiness. Because this is what he wanted to do, to glorify Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He wanted to worship Lord Shri Krishna. So this is a mood of a devotee who always wants to glorify Lord. And he is able to glorify, but his tears are flowing, so he can't even see Lord Krishna. So here Śiśupāla stands up and he says, this is amazing. How could you be worshipping Krishna? Because in this particular gathering, there are so many great personalities. And every personality is referring and he's giving, like these are the different personalities previously were being discussed. And suddenly Sahadev spoke about Lord Krishna. So now he is picking up each of the personality that, Bhishma Pitama is there. Among the Kshatriyas, he is the grandsire, is the strongest of all. Then he is talking of, other personalities. He's saying, if you don't consider Pitamaha, there are so many other great warriors. So they're talking about knowledge of all areas. Then Ashwatthama has knowledge of all the areas of study. So he's very glorious. And then he is talking about Dronacharya, he is the spiritual master, your own spiritual master, you are not glorifying him. Kripacharya, he is the spiritual master of the Kurus, you are not glorifying him. He is picking up now the Devtas, like Lord Brahma is the first living entity, Lord Shiva is Mahadev and so forth. So he is giving all these reasons. Now his purpose, which Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained, is twofold. It's not just challenging and rebuking Yudhishthira Maharaj. His purpose is to spoil the Rājasūya. If a person who is not qualified is worshipped in Rājasūya sacrifice, in the Rājasūya yajna, then the whole Rājasūya yajna is spoiled. So he's trying to give this reasoning first with the mood of spoiling Rājasūya yajna. That now your Rājasūya yajna is spoiled, you worshipped a personality and you did not worship the other personalities who are more qualified than this personality, so your Rājasūya yajna is qualified. So there is a very mischievous motive Śiśupāla has. It's not that he's envious of Krishna. Yes, he's envious of Krishna. He's very much envious of Krishna because Krishna stole his would-be wife. So Śiśupāla in the previous birth was Ravan. Lord Krishna was Ram. Rukmini Devi was Sita Mata. So Ravan is trying to take Sita Mata. Of course, how could Ram allow that to happen? And that is the mood of a materialist, always wanting to enjoy Lakshmi. But Lakshmi is in the service of Narayan. How would she agree to be enjoyed by materialists? Rather, she gives more pain to materialists. So the abducting Sita Mata caused Rama to die. So that's what happens to a materialist when he wants to enjoy for his sense gratification. Unknowingly facing, planning for his own death, digging his own grave. That is the mood. So Śiśupāla wanted to do that. Yes, he was upset that Krishna is my dire enemy. I would not let this happen. But then he is actually trying to say this to Yudhishthira Maharaj at that time, and he's about to leave. So at that time, if Śiśupāla leaves, how can he be delivered? So Devashi Narad, who is Trikalagya, he knows that Śiśupāla has to be delivered. So he requests Yudhishthira Maharaj to go and console and bring Śiśupāla back. So he somehow satisfies Śiśupāla and Śiśupāla comes back. Yudhishthira Maharaj finishes the worship of Lord Krishna, sprinkles the the water. Now, he's not just satisfied just like that. What happens is when he said all this stuff, the fourth conversation happened. Bhishma Pitama, he got up. And he said that I certify, basically he's being regarded very highly by Śiśupāla, but he is saying that he is the cause of Vyasadeva. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is residing in everyone's heart. He is the most renounced of all personalities, all the qualities. So when Bhishma Pitama is attesting what Sahadev has said, Śiśupāla is somehow calmed down. He is brought back by Yudhishthira Maharaj. He sits down on his throne and all the kings are sitting. Now what happens after worship is there? Yudhishthira Maharaj sprinkles the water that he used to wash Lord Krishna's feet on his head, on the head of his wife, his brothers and his ministers and so forth. Everyone is feeling jubilant, very nice. They are getting this wonderful. And all the devas. Now there comes a time after the first worship is everybody says something in glorification. So Srila Prabhupada explains this is like selecting a president, electing a president. And once a president has been elected and properly, gone through the initial ceremony, then people say something in favor. So sometimes we see this even in Western culture. They, give a toast. They say, okay, I give a toast and this is something nice about the person. So each of the kings are saying that. And of course, there is an opportunity for demigods also to glorify. And everyone gets up from their seat, says something nice, so glorifying Lord Krishna, they sit back down. However, Śiśupāla, he does not get up from his seat. Nobody minds it. Everyone just moves on. He's upset. Let him just calm down. People are just happy that he's just, let him be calmed down. And then afterwards, what happens is suddenly he gets up. And he says that this is amazing, that how we understand that time is such a strong force in this material world. And it is only because of the time factor that you have taken the words of a boy to be genuine. So he is directing towards Sahadev. That this Sahadev said that he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, you accept it. And now the envy that's coming out in case of Śiśupāla. Now understand that Śiśupāla, his birth, there is a story behind this birth. So I'll quickly cover that and then we'll come back here. So Sahadev was born of Lord Krishna's Mausi, like maternal aunt, or Bua, Vasudev's sister, Shrutadev. So she was the mother of Śiśupāla. When he was born with 3 eyes and 4 arms. And he was very ghastly to look at. So his mother thought to leave him, drop him in a forest, to abandon him. Yet at the same time, as soon as the thought came, there was an Akashvani, an unembodied voice that was heard, that this would be a great warrior. So don't abandon him. He would be a great warrior, and whoever's lap he would discard his 3rd eye and the 2 arms, that would be the person who would kill him. So now she was taking him, putting him in the lap of various kings and princes, and nothing was happening. So once Lord Krishna visits with Balaram and Vasudeva and Devaki. So when Vasudeva, Devaki, they come with Krishna and Balaram to visit, Vasudev's sister. At that time, when Lord Krishna holds Śiśupāla, who was a baby, suddenly his 3rd eye vanished. So this 3rd eye represents envy, an eye of envy, filled with envy. And the 2 arms represents pramad, which is delusion. So then the aunt asked Krishna to promise him. She says that, you promise me first that you will not kill him. Krishna says, well, that is the prophecy that has already been written. I cannot set it false. So you should ask something else. So she says, okay, you will pardon his 100, sins, that offenses that are worthy of death. Krishna says, okay, I will do that. Now Śiśupāla knew this. So he was a great counter. He would count, he would say bad names to Krishna, and at 99 he would stop. Because he doesn't want to do 100, 101. He doesn't want to go beyond the count. But at this particular moment, he's filled with envy. He's filled with this jealousy that Krishna was worshipped. And he's saying that we can't even determine now all the blasphemy that is going on, all the criticism Śiśupāla is doing, is being used by Goddess Saraswati in glorification of Lord Krishna. And that's been explained in the commentary by the Acharyas. When he says that we can't even determine his varna. We don't know which varna he belongs to. He was a cowherd boy, now he's a king. What is really going on here? So, Acharyas explained that that is true. Because all the varnas are in the 3 modes of material nature, while Lord Krishna is transcendental to the material nature, he is the Supreme Personality. And when he is saying that he left his capital city and went to the ocean, so that is also being glorified, that actually he is the saver of the Vedas and the cows and the Brahmanas. And when he is saying that there is no, they are living in a fort, there is no Brahmanical culture there. They are not following any prescribed, as the Varnashram Dharma and all that stuff. And then he comes out as a dacoit and he, torment the various citizens of different kingdoms. So even that has been twisted around by, so again, not twisted around, it's actually, there's different meaning. Where Lord is glorified that he is so merciful, that he is delivering his devotees all around the place and is relieving the burden of the earth. So Śiśupāla continues to blaspheme, so much so that other kings, the Madras, and so forth, they were looking at his criticism and they were getting agitated. So they start taking out all the Kakayas, these kings, they start drawing their sword out. So looking at that, so you can imagine such a wonderful scene is happening of Rājasūya, right? So this is given here very nicely. Here Lord Krishna is being worshipped. Right? And then next is Śiśupāla is criticizing. And Bhim is getting agitated. He has his club out and he is about to attack Śiśupāla. And all these kings, they are ready with their clubs, their bows and their arrows to fight with Śiśupāla. And Śiśupāla picks up a sword and a shield and he is ready. At that time, as Bhima was going to approach him, Bhishma Dev, Grandsire Bhishma, stops Bhim. He says, stop. You are not the one who is going to kill, because Bhishma Dev knows what's going to happen. His 100th is just over. He says one more, Krishna will take care of it. And Krishna is asking, he's signaling to pacify all the kings. And he warns Śiśupāla that you have just committed the 100. Don't say any more. Otherwise, you will have to face the consequences. And at that time, Śiśupāla, he says, what will you do? And he calls him various names. And at that time, Lord Krishna invokes Sudarshan. And this is where the scene is, where Lord Krishna beheads him, right there. So as soon as Śiśupāla, his head goes on. Now there is another interesting thing. If there was a fight earlier, then a blood drop would have fallen onto the ground, spoiling the whole sacrificial arena. And that would have spoiled the whole Rājasūya sacrifice. So that's why Lord Krishna was stopping other kings from fighting, right? And they from approaching Śiśupāla and having a fight, because a single drop of blood would have spoiled the whole thing. He sends Sudarshan. By sending Sudarshan, Sudarshan makes sure that the head is taken care of. And Yogamaya takes care in such a way that any blood that is spilled is actually absorbed by the clothes of Śiśupāla and others. So again, not a single drop falls on the ground. However, there is one incident that happens where a blood drop is falling. Where when Lord Krishna sends Sudarshan, his index finger is cut and the blood is dropping. And Lord Krishna is not doing anything about it. So if the blood drops, it will spoil the whole Rājasūya sacrifice. But without even paying attention that it would spoil Rājasūya sacrifice, just seeing that there is a blood on his finger, Draupadi runs to him, tears of her sari, and she ties it on his finger. And at that time, Lord Krishna says that I am ever indebted. So this is because this was her spontaneous reaction. That because, this is a mood happens when you are in the association of devotees. She was actually previously Mahadev's devotee, Lord Shiva's devotee. But ever since she became wife of Pandavas, she became a devotee of Lord Krishna. And so much so that Lord Krishna says, ask for a boon, that what do you want? And she says, just, you stay and protect us all the time. That's why with her single call, he would come. But there was one time when she was calling and calling and calling and he was not coming. So we'll cover that on another class, why that was happening. So again, there is a level of faith and level of cry that Lord wants to hear with love and with full surrender. So here, as soon as Śiśupāla is killed, there is a big commotion, right? Everyone is wondering that, the blood fell or not. While they are taking care of that and see that not a single drop is fallen onto the ground, so the sacrificial arena is so pure, some of the other kings and supporters of Śiśupāla who were there in the assembly, they immediately escaped. They went out because of fear of death, And what happened was some other kings had also left the assembly hall, because Srila Prabhupada explains in Krishna book is when somebody is criticizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his pure devotees, one should not hear. One should be ready to fight or walk out from that situation. So many of the kings had walked out from Rājasūya. They came back later when they came to know that everything is proceeding as it is, as it should be. So these incidents happen. So here one wonderful thing happens, that the soul of Śiśupāla, everyone sees that this light. So this is Lord is showing everyone that he is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Sahadev was saying it, Bhishma Dev was attesting it, but the realization to all the kings and all the personalities come at this point, that the soul becomes visible to everyone, comes out from the body of Śiśupāla, hovers up, approaches Lord Krishna, and just like a meteor and circles, right, it circumambulates around Lord Krishna 3 times and then merges into him. So at that time, so we covered this in 7th canto. This is where Yudhishthira Maharaj asks Narad Muni that how could Lord be so merciful even to a demon? He's feeling that a demon is more dear to Lord than the devotees. While Parikshit Maharaj asked the same question, where this is covered in 7th canto, that the devotee is more dear to Lord than the demons, he's partial. Here, Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking, this is the opposite question, that a demon is more devotee to Lord than his devotees. And Devashi Narad gives the whole story about Jai Vijay and so forth, as how this was the third birth of Śiśupāla. And it appears that he has achieved Sayujya, Mukti, liberation, by merging into Lord Krishna. But actually, he goes back to Vaikuntha as an associate of Lord Krishna, with Sarupya, four-arm form, on the same place, Salokya. So again, this is actually, he goes back as Jai, as an attendant of Lord Vishnu, Padmanabha Vishnu. And his first birth was as Hiranyakashipu. And his Vijay, the other one, who was Jai Vijay, they were the two gatekeepers of Lord Padmanabha Vishnu in Vaikuntha. They were cursed by the Chaturkumaras to take 3 births as demons. So first they appeared Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksh as son of Kashyapa Muni and Diti. So that's why they are called Daityas. Second birth was as Ravan and Kumkaran. And third birth is as Śiśupāla and Dantavakra. So at this particular time, as Śiśupāla is killed, and the environment is again, the sacrificial arena is restored, everyone continues. So this is where this chapter ends. So there are some amazing lessons we hear as how we can overcome Anartha. One of the story I really want to cover on this particular aspect is, one of the divine qualities we covered earlier is to aversion to fault finding. But devotees are a step ahead. So this is a divine quality, aversion, not to see someone's fault. But devotees are even a step ahead, where they look to find, good qualities in others. So there was this king who only had 1 arm and 1 leg. And he was a very pious king. He really took care of his citizens, his kingdom and his citizens, just like a father would take care of his sons and daughters. And every day while going to the assembly, he would pass this corridor where he would see his ancestors, the glorious kings ahead of him, who had. So these glorious kings, their portraits were there. So he thought once that it would be so nice to have my portrait also, because I am, following the footsteps of my ancestors. And so he called the painters from all over the world to draw a very nice portrait of his. So many painters came, and when they saw the king, he said that I want you to draw a beautiful portrait of mine, and I want it to be, on the corridor, and I should like it. So after a lot of thinking, all painters were saying, one after another, no, we can't do this, we can't do this. They were seeing that he only has 1 arm and 1 leg. How do we draw a nice portrait of his? He doesn't even have the other arm or the leg. So how do you do that? So they were saying, but one painter, he raised his hand that I will do it. So everyone is surprised. Even the other painters who said no were surprised. It's like, now we have to see what is he going to draw. So this painter, he starts drawing a painting. And what kind of painting is he drawing? He draws a painting, and when he shows, he says that the painting is complete. When he shows to the king, even the king is surprised, and all the painters are surprised. So beautiful painting, showing that the king is holding a bow, with his 1 arm, a side view of the horse, with only 1 leg showing, and the pratyancha, the string is pulled all the way by his ear, as if he is pulling, and there is an arrow set on it. So a beautiful painting. So this is where it is, the moral is that a devotee can see even good quality to glorify someone. So that is a quality to encourage them to take to devotional service. So when, of course, the king saw his purpose was met, that he would put it in the corridor. So any living entity in this material world, the purpose is to attain Krishna, the love of Godhead. So one is able to attain that love of Godhead even in inimical situation, even in adverse situation, when one is deluded, by the mercy of a devotee who finds good quality in every living entity. So that's the message. So we should not engage in criticizing anyone, and by constantly glorifying Lord Krishna, we can awaken the dormant love of Krishna in this fragile, helpless condition. And this can easily be done by chanting of the holy name, but just by raising an hand and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this is where the class ends today. Canto Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Kori Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Nitaya Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So please join us for Nrsimhadev prayers. Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna.